And we are bringing you team coverage of the crisis on Good Day Extra.
A mental health expert standing by with how this is impacting you and your children. Right now, though, we want to check in with Sydney Cameron. She's got the latest details from El Paso.
Well, prosecutors say they plan on charging the Texas gunman with hate crimes, and they will seek the death penalty. This coming as survivors share their heroic and terrifying stories from inside that Walmart. We're now learning more about the victims in El Paso, including this mother who died shielding her 2-month-old son from the bullets, her sister in tears.
I'd give my life and trade for hers. She had 3 babies she needed to raise.
Army Specialist Glendon Oakley being celebrated as a hero for saving the lives of several children as the suspected gunman carried out the shooting, killing at least 20 people.
I understand it was heroic, and I'm looked at as a hero for it, but that wasn't the reason for me. I'm just focused on the kids that I could not get and the families that were lost.
Cell phone video from inside the store showing victims being wheeled in shopping carts, others running with their hands up. This is the mugshot of the alleged shooter, 21-year-old Patrick Crucius. Police say he drove from his home over 10 hours away to commit the shootings. Police say he wrote a hate-filled anti-immigrant manifesto talking about a Hispanic invasion of Texas. The massacre now being investigated as a case of domestic terrorism.
And we're going to do what we do to terrorists in this country, which is deliver swift and certain justice.
A silent march held in El Paso Sunday night, people protesting gun violence, then hundreds attending a vigil just blocks away from the Walmart. El Paso's mayor says this shooting will not define them and they will survive. Live in studio, Sydney Cameron, Fox 35 News.
Sydney, thank you. Meanwhile, a scare at a Walmart right here in Florida. Hillsborough County deputies say this man called the Walmart store and threatened to shoot it up. It's the store where his mother worked. Deputies say they swarmed the store but did not find anything concerning.
A gunman also killing 9 people in Dayton, Ohio. Police say the 24-year-old man was wearing body armor and a mask when he opened fire in a crowded area of bars and restaurants. Surveillance video right here shows people running for their lives, and eventually officers come in and shoot and kill the suspect within 1 minute of responding.
And then all of a sudden, people start running, and that's when I started hearing shots fired, and bullets were just riddling. A lot of people on the backside of net peppers were falling.
And police say the shooter's own sister is among the victims. They have not, though, released any information about a motive, but the shooter's former classmates say he was suspended for creating a hit list in high school.
All of this violence, of course, takes a toll on each and every one of us. And joining us right now is licensed mental health counselor Shantala Boss. Great to have you, Shantala. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You know, the first thing that we do, of course, when we hear about things like this is we sort of soak up all the facts. And as adults, maybe that's okay. But for children, it is not. Is that right?
That's correct. It actually really depends on developmental level and age. Usually around 6 and under, we don't want to bring up specifics about events. Unfortunately, this is happening regularly in our world, and there are school shootings, there are threats of shootings, so we definitely want to have an ongoing conversation with our kids about safety and about kindness and about keeping eyes and ears open if they were to see something that should be unsafe, or I call it be an upstander instead of a bystander. So speaking out when they see things that scare them or make them worried.
So it is important that we know these things are happening, right? You don't want to get to a point where you just don't know what's going on in the world around you, but at the same time, you have to be careful with all of that information. How do you prevent yourself from becoming overwhelmed?
Well, I think it's having ongoing conversations with our kids and with people that we care about what's going on in the world, but also about the good things. I mean, we just saw a clip about someone who was such a hero and who did so much to save people he didn't even know. There's so many good, wonderful things going on in the world, and so focusing on that, focusing on what we can do, focusing on empathy and tolerance and the good in the world, that we can make the world a better place. And it's not all these people, they're not all there is to the world. I think we really need to look at that.
You know, it's always in hindsight, we talk about, oh, well, this guy made a hit list and talked about people he wanted to kill in high school, and the other gentleman in El Paso, there are all kinds of warning signs there. Does that concern you as a mental health care professional to know that there were a lot of warning signs in both these cases and in most of these mass shooting cases?
Very much concerns me. Usually when there are warning signs, unless that person gets help, that eventually something may happen. So we want to talk to our kids about reporting things. If they were to see something on social media, if they were to see something that made them nervous at school, they need to go ahead and report that. Sometimes kids will say things, make threats, not do anything, and then years later something could happen. We don't want to make children anxious by giving them too much information, but especially kids in high school, they know what's up, and they're very anxious as well. I was just talking to another student who was telling me she has a place that she knows she will hide should an active shooter come into her school. So these kids have the information. They know a lot more probably than we do, the ones in high school. So empowering them to speak out and helping them learn how to be safe.
All right, it's great advice. Shantala Boss, we always appreciate you coming in. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right.